The gospel is truth, and it begins with the creation of mankind in the garden. Whenever God created Adam and Eve, whenever He created them, He breathed life into them, His own self, His very essence, and through that breath, we were able to have a connection with Him, a relationship, to walk with Him, to talk with Him, to commune. And unfortunately, Adam and Eve went against God's wishes in the garden, and that resulted in a brokenness, in a rift between us and God. Not one that He created, but that was self-imposed, that we did through our own sin. And to bridge that gap, the Word says in John 3:16 that God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in Him will not perish but have everlasting life. What this means is that there had to be a sacrifice to bridge the gap. Grace had to have a vehicle. And so God sent His Son to be crucified, to take on the weight of the sins of the world, so that that brokenness could be filled between us and Him. And now we have the option of salvation, which is for everyone. And that is, since His coming and His death and His going back to heaven, that all we have to do is accept the gift freely given. And it works a lot like this. If I pour water over my closed fist, I've done nothing but waste a precious, valuable resource, and it's done absolutely nothing for me. But if I'll open my hand and pour water into it, it's then become a vessel that I could feed myself, that I could hydrate myself, something to nourish me that I could live off of. And salvation works much the same way. I recognize that I need nourishment. And I recognize that I have to stop doing the things that I'm doing in order to receive that nourishment, and have an open heart and accept it. I have to accept the water. I have to accept life. And I'll have it. And that's the same for you. Jeremiah 1:5 says that God knew us before He formed us in our mother's womb, and that He set us aside for a purpose. And so from beginning of this journey with mankind and God to now, where we are personally, individually, without a shadow of a doubt, there's a divine purpose. There is a divine plan. And whenever we accept Jesus Christ into our lives, we are given a perfect avenue to fulfill that, to be the hands and feet, to be who we were called to be, and step and walk in freedom. Another thing is in Romans 8:38, Paul was a great theologian, one of the best writers in the Bible. He says, I am convinced that height, no depth, no demons, no angels, that nothing can separate me from the love of God. And just as the word about Adam and Eve in the beginning of the garden is true, and Christ coming and dying for us, and all the way to the New Testament where Paul gives us this revelation that nothing can separate us from God's love, it's all true from the beginning to the end. It was the same when it was written, it's the same today, and it will be the same forevermore, tomorrow, no matter what. This is the gift of salvation, this is the truth of the gospel, and it is free to anyone who will have an ear to listen.